Welcome everyone to today's session, Source Documentation, What is Adequate and Accurate. My name is Marla Helly and I will be your trainer. Before we get started, here is just a list on the slide regarding the items that you have received electronically, and I will be referring to these items during our session today. They're also a reference. Some of you probably are aware of some of these items as far as guidance documents, and also I have some warning letters in here that I will be referencing as well. Our learning objectives for today are to define what source data and source documents are. We're also going to identify regulatory required characteristics of source data and source documents. We will also identify 3 attributes of source document worksheets. We'll also look at the description of ALCOA for source documents and also discuss case report forms and how they're used in source data. Today, this will really look at some of the challenges that you were also facing coming from the investigative site and how the CRO or sponsor might be presenting their definition of source and what they're expecting from you. So let's take a moment. Use your chat, if you will, describing perhaps some of the challenges you might be facing when it comes to source documentation in your clinical research practice. Or perhaps you might have some new team members that are attending the training, and this might be part of their professional development and understanding source documentation. So I'm just going to wait for you to finish your chat. Okay, so one group shares matching the source to the case report form. So making sure that you have the source to support your data in the case report form. Perhaps that might be one of the challenges that our other group might be facing as well. Is this something that you might be facing? You can indicate by a green check mark. Oh, good penmanship. So the ability to read. So understanding what was actually written, which is very important. We need to see what has been written. And that's where perhaps electronic data capture has been very helpful when we're using electronic medical records. So in our EMR system, we are able to type in, so it's much easier versus someone's penmanship where it's difficult to read one's writing. I have here 2 documents that are important. They've been sent to you electronically, and I've numbered the handouts. These documents actually are going to be the same document, even though one was presented or published by ICH. It's the ICH GCP E6 R2 addendum, and then the FDA also came out with this same addendum that they agreed with in March of 2018. So I'm going to be referencing these documents today. So let's get some background information when it comes to source documentation and research. We know that our entire research team is responsible in ensuring that patients who participate in clinical research are protected, looking at their rights, safety, and welfare. So how do we do this? Well, part of this begins with our informed consent, ensuring that the patient has agreed to participate through the informed consent process, and then having documentation. So there's one document that we would be expecting to see if we were the sponsor or if we were the CRO that's been represented by the sponsor to monitor, that we would actually want to see that source document from the investigative site documenting that participation in the informed consent process, followed by then ensuring that the patient was eligible to participate. So we would have source to support the patient's eligibility. So that would be the patient's medical records Also looking at their medical history, diagnosis, looking to see what concomitant medications they may be taking. And when it comes to protecting the safety and welfare, it also means ensuring that the procedures are being done as defined in the protocol. We also want to ensure that our conduct of clinical trials complies with good clinical practice, following that protocol, our SOPs, and of course, regulations. We also have to make sure that the data that is presented regarding our clinical trial is data that is of good quality. So ensuring that we actually performed the procedures as defined by our protocol, that we have captured this accurately, it's complete, we can verify this data. So that's where our source comes in, and we have reliability of the results. So that's looking again at how we've designed our protocol. If we would do this protocol again, we should have the same results. And then of course, when we look at our patients, when the sponsor comes out to monitor, they want to ensure that not only the patient actually existed, but also looking to see if the patient is alive, looking to also see what occurred during the course of the clinical trial, reviewing the original documents regarding or related to that clinical trial, the medical treatment, as well as the patient's history.